Guten Tag, welcome back to another episode of Detailing School English. Today we're looking at the ADBL synthetic spray wax, which is the best ceramic sealant on the market.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Ranked Review. Today we are looking at ADBL or ADBL's synthetic spray wax. So this is an interesting product. It was sent to me by Andreas from the Detailing School and Detailing School English YouTube channel. He reached out and said that I would probably really like this product, and that he's found in his own testing, which, his channel's got over 100,000 subs, so he's done a lot of testing, and you can see it in his backdrop, that he thinks I would really like it. And I gave him a couple updates just as I was applying it for the testing, and my thoughts that I had at the points were right in line with his so far. But he hasn't seen any of this footage. So, Andreas, let's see what you think. It's definitely an interesting bottle for sure. It's got a interesting trigger. I don't know if this is the trigger it came with, but it is adjustable. It's got a good lever on it. I hadn't had any issues with it. It's a little leaky if you get anything loose. So if you keep this tight, it doesn't leak, which I think, not the end of the world. It smells like bubble gum. And yeah, there's one area though where it gets slammed. We'll get to that later on, but let's get into the actual testing. So we'll go through the application, we will go through the gloss and fill, and then the hydrophobics and chemical resistance testing. We'll meet back here for the conclusion. All right, first up is ADBL synthetic spray wax. It's kind of a thicker formula. I found out when I didn't tighten this down all the way and shook it, because these two pieces spin, and if you don't tighten it all the way, this is really loose, and then it leaks out. So anyway, put it on here. It has a bubblegum scent, and it kind of has like a medicine-y type smell to it a bit, like a Pepto-Bismol sort of thing going on. But yeah, it eventually turns into bubble gum, and I didn't mind it. Wow, I can't even see it. Okay, note, I put on 2 sprays. Okay, now I can see the residue. It's not crazy slick, but it's not too grabby. It's better than Sonax. Haven't flipped yet, but just working it in, getting a feel. Oh, that smell is strong. But it is bubblegum. Interesting. It's not that bad. Like, it's not slick. Like, this has decent bite to it, but it's not fatiguing. So the slickness score is not going to be anything great. But the application is very straightforward. Like, the first one, it just completely disappeared as I got around the whole panel. There was basically no residue left. But it smooths out, and I don't know. It's not slick on the finger, but it's super smooth. It's really hard to describe, but it's not draggy. Like, it's better than Sonax. That's interesting. I feel like the application's good because it didn't cause a fuss. It just flashed right away. It's the slight drag's gonna knock it down a smidge, just because it's not like effortless. But I shouldn't do that hand gesture. But yeah, it's not grabby. Like, moving this around lightly, it moves lightly. It's just not like you can grip it if you try, but it's not bad. So upper mediums, I'm going to say, but we'll get to that at the end. Anyway, moving on. All right, time for the gloss and fill. We've got ADBL in this spot, untouched up here, and fully polished. And good news, I found a combination that allowed me to get a nice finish on here. So that's looking much better this time around. For the next 4 they'll all be about that. I got it to work on both panels, and I know what I did, so I'll try and keep doing that from now on, because some of the past ones it was quite swirly, but now she's quite good. So here's your bad, here's your ADBL. So let's pull the tape. All right. Looks pretty good. Definitely darker. Definitely filled in a lot more. Again, it's that tougher application, which, you know, compared to polishing, it's, you know, it's not much, but it's better. Yeah, it looks quite good. The line is quite dark, including in person, and between the two, I mean, that's a pretty good jetting effect, in my opinion. So, of course, right where I want to line that up, it's in the middle of the shot. But you can see the darkness is there. The black levels are there. And it looks a damn sight better. So, pretty good showing overall. Again, that application being a bit tougher sort of goes hand in hand with better filling performance. So, anyway, moving on. Okay, so we've seen all the good stuff. As you saw, it is quite good at filling. It's not the greatest application, but it is better than Sonic's ceramic spray sealant or coating. So for a very hydrophobic, very decent fill product, the application isn't that bad. Like getting around the car, I wouldn't want to do 5 cars in a row, but I'd be fine with one. I wouldn't go into it dragging my feet. So It's not that bad. And it smells like bubblegum, if you like that. So that part of it was quite good. But let's just get the elephant out of the room. The price is a zero because I can't buy it at all. I just tried before, as I was building up my tally here. They won't ship this to Canada. So it doesn't exist for me. So I'm giving it a zero there. But when we get to the end of this, I will give you a alternative to that. It will stay as a zero in the charts. I will make a note saying that I can't purchase it. But if I could purchase this with the price that I converted it to straight, without, obviously there's going to be a lot of extra costs, especially right now. But this just, I gave you a hypothetical. If that price being sold there was the price being sold here, I gave you a score with that as well. So we'll get to that. So application for it is a 7 out of 10. It's not that bad. Like, it's smooth. It doesn't fatigue you. It just doesn't have that joy, which is those really slick products that just have that. There's a joyousness to it. I don't know. I'm calling it that. Slickness is a 6. So again, the application is more about the faffing you have to do, the simplicity, right? Don't conflate slickness and application. Application is you got to jump around and tickle yourself like this. That's application. How hard it is to move is slickness. So they're two different things, but this is very simple to apply. And the slickness isn't bad enough to make that really miserable. So 7 and 6 there. Moving on to hydrophobics, this thing's a 10. As they say, some people just don't know what really good hydrophobics are until you see it. And once you see it, you really can't go back. There's products on the market that have names about making beads, and they do anything but. So this is hydrophobic. Sonax is hydrophobic. A few of the other ones, actually I think every single one in this next round of 4, I'm not spoiling any of them, are all really hydrophobic. So this is hydrophobics. If you aren't seeing something at this level, you can't really say it's very hydrophobic or insanely hydrophobic. Hydrophobic and insanely hydrophobic are very different things. So don't conflate those. Chemical resistance, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. There was a little weak spot. I know it's a small spot and everything else was great, but one weak link and that's it. So 10 out of 10 is 0 drop, no change. So that is that. Now, filling performance is another area where this did quite well. It really darkened that panel back up and filled it in. And the video sometimes doesn't capture it quite the way I see it in person. I try and show it to you as clear as I can. I'm using the scan grip light and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going based on what my eye sees. And I'm trying to show it to you, but I'm still ranking based on what I see. And that is a solid performance. It's about a 7 out of 10. There's a couple more that could do more than that. But given what it's doing in the other categories, it's very impressive. Like, it hasn't made any huge compromises yet. And getting on to more not compromising, the bottle has the adjustable head. It's got a nice trigger. If everything's tight, it doesn't leak. It's easy to hold. It's actually quite natural to hold. So it's 2 out of 2. And although this was never, this can't even be purchased here, it has very clear, well-written instructions. They're very small. So I'm giving a little asterisk is that this could be bigger, especially when you've got a big blank space here. Again, the label for the different markets, maybe they have to do a bunch of different things, but yeah, the instructions are perfectly clear if small. So 2 out of 2 on the label. So getting to the score. Everything is out of tallies out of 64. That's how this works. If this is your first time here, welcome. It's out of 64. Currently, with a goose egg on price, it's sitting at 43. Now, that's a really strong showing for a goose egg, and that just shows how high it scored in all the other categories. Now, I converted what the 500 ml bottle one website was selling, and again, not factoring tax and shipping, but I converted it to Canadian and it worked out to about $21 Canadian. If I could buy this for $21, that would make it an 8 out of 10. And with an 8 out of 10, it would be 51 out of 64, which would be first place. So I'm not giving it that score, but I'm making a statement that the only reason why this hasn't mopped the floor with everything else yet is because I can't buy it here. And I know that that 8 will drop if it ever shows up here, because there'll be a whole bunch of costs involved. It'll probably punch in around the $40 to $45 range, which will bring that down to probably like a 3 or a 4. But that's still a really high score. So yeah, very impressed. Thank you, Andreas, for sending this. You were right. It is a really rock solid thing. Now, if you have specific preferences, application and slickness specifically, this guy won't tickle your fancy. And I don't have real world testing yet. I just have chemical resistance. That will be coming up probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully. I got a couple days to myself where I can fart around in the garage and film some stupid intro. But yeah, that's coming. It is coming. And I'm very curious to see how this does in the real world in my environment. Very impressive. I wish I could buy it and have it all the time, but I'll have to cherish this. Like, you know, actually I kind of don't really go through any of my products. I should give them away. Yeah, so very good showing, very solid product. If you have access to this and you haven't tried it, I highly recommend you try it, unless you're specifically after slickness and application. Like, the application is simple, but if you're really after slickness and stuff, then I could see why you might not like this. But every other regard, it's really, really good. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.